Welcome everyone. This is Kilohertz. I'm joined by JNails, and I believe this is the finals of the small games tournament.
That is correct.
All right. So I also do not know how many games this is. I'm gonna guess it's 5 games, but it's a total speculation.
It's a reasonable guess to me, but your guess is as good as mine. All right, we got our first kingdom.
Double, double landmark. So not the most exciting thing there. Let's look at this board. What do we have going on? Black Cat is the only draw.
Or will-o-wisp if you can get your hands on that. There's a decent number of 2 costs.
Yep, that's true. You've got tournament, which
And
is often pretty game defining. Uh, Pretty good trashing between goat herd and goat. It's kind of nice synergy there.
yeah, there's definitely all the stuff you would need to build. You've got actions, draw, trashing, and plus buy in the form of pawn
Yep.
or princess eventually. Um, I would think how good are the prizes here? Um, I mean, you generally want them. All of them seem fine. None of them seem super game defining to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like followers is, I guess, slightly soft countered by Village Green and the fact that the decent trashing exists, but it's still not bad.
Yeah.
You can actually, I think, you can activate Black Cats though as well versus followers, can't you? So yeah, maybe
Yep.
followers is not a particularly great prize here. With both Village Greens and Black Cats likely to be in abundance in these decks, maybe Princess or Trusty Steed's more important.
I agree. So we just saw roeroe open Marauder. Marauder seems very bad here. In general, it's a pretty weak card, but there's great trashing here, and you want to ramp up your deck really fast here because of tournament. So Marauder just feels very slow.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Marauder. I mean, like this, the spirits there, like oh, junking your opponent. That's generally a good thing to do. But it tends to be, I think, a pretty slow card. I think you're not wrong about that. I would probably open something like I don't know, Tournament Goat Herd or Tournament Pixie
I
are the
think I
things
like
that jump out to
Tournament
me.
Pixie. Try to high roll a Flames Gift or something.
Now, I guess one potential argument, I still don't think Marauder's that good, but like one thing that maybe counts in its favor is with Goat Herd around, it's often nice to provoke your opponent to trash, even if they can do that just fine. Because like if they are forced to trash like 2 or 3 cards per turn, then all of a sudden your Goat Herds get good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at least one thing to think about is like you get Marauder and then they get Goat Herd to deal with it, and then you just pick up a Goat Herd and draw off of their Goat Herds, even if you don't need the trashing aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, in games where there's a lot of trashing, it can be a good draw card. So I think you just take a Pixie here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Goat Herd's like actually a great card here. I mean, you'd expect your opponent to be trashing at least 1 card most turns anyway with Goat,
Yeah.
and then if they pop a Pixie, which is the other thing that you're likely to be buying, then that's another trash. And then if they picked up a Goat Herd of their own, you might be drawing a lot off these Goat Herds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a really good board for Goat Herd. So yeah, there isn't really a good 5 cost here. I don't think I want an Explorer. So it's kind of awkward when you're hitting 5 and 6 here, because you
Yeah,
just
Explorer seems mediocre. Um, I mean, it's not terrible insofar as you're getting an early province anyway, and that makes it like a +3 card, but it's not great.
yeah. I mean, terminal gold to hand just isn't particularly inspiring. There's other things I'd rather use my terminal space on, like followers.
Yeah, no, the buying of golds here is certainly a lot less bad than usual, just because there's really no like particular high value cards that it's
Mm-hmm.
really competing with, and it does help hit 8. I think I would still probably take a tournament over a gold though, especially because it comes with some basilica points, which is like a nice little bonus.
Yep.
Um, and you're gonna want the tournament anyway for once you got the province. But
Okay.
I mean,
So
normally I'm one to complain a lot about golds, but I don't think they were particularly bad buys here.
yeah, there isn't really an alternative in terms of making money. I mean, tournament is nice, but will get less reliable as the game goes on. And so we're gonna see derpeon got the turn 6 province and then lined up for turn 7 prize. So that's really nice. Some nice
I think I
RNG.
actually would take followers here, just because my opponent has no village greens or black cats yet,
Yep,
and so at least in the short term, that's gonna do a lot of damage.
agreed. Steed isn't unreasonable, but I definitely like followers better as your first prize here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it worked out because they did just draw 2 action cards that would have been drawn dead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you
Yeah,
pop this? I think I'd pop this for 2 draw.
I would too. Um, there's a small chance you can draw back around and get another prize.
Oh, they just discarded it. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, with a
Not sure
cash
maybe
gem
here.
pixie, that could have been another province or tournament and something else.
Oh,
Guess
I
you can
don't
do.
like more tournaments. I was thinking like Village Green Black Cat or maybe Village Green Pixie.
Yeah, that actually does
Maybe
seem
even
better.
Village Green Goat Herd.
I'm like
Um,
still sort of inclined to get tournaments because my opponent doesn't have a province yet, but I feel like they're going to very quickly.
yeah, I would anticipate my opponent gets Province at some point in the near future, given that it's a tournament game, and then all of a sudden those extra tournaments are really unreliable.
Yeah, quite a liability. That Marauder.
So now roeroe has hit 8.
Let's see, did they trash the last turn?
It did not. I would be trashing both of the coppers as derpeon.
Yep. Pick up another pixie, I think. Maybe a black cat.
They took a pawn. I'm not a big fan of the pawn. Like the one thing pawn does serve a useful function for here is it's the only source of plus buy other than princess.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it's not a very good source of plus buy. And your opponent's actually giving you ruined markets anyway, which are honestly not substantially worse than pawn is in that regard.
Yep. So they both don't seem to want to go for followers. Likes to go for princess, which is certainly a really good card here with the limited plus buy and cost reductions almost always good. But I really want to try to hammer them with followers, especially because, like you said, the cards that defend against it, and Black Cat and Village Green, are both untouched.
Yeah, like in theory, I would think followers ought to be bad here, and yet the reason they're not to be bad is the existence of Black Cat and Village Green, neither of which we bought. So in both of their circumstances, I think I would have taken followers.
Yep, agreed. All right, so what are the buys here? Gold.
Okay, I no longer like the gold buys. I'm not sure why we need more golds. Like you already hit 8. You got your province. That's all the gold is doing for you. Um, I think now it's time to go back to building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the weird things about tournament games. They kind of create this weird thing where you spike to get one province and then you keep building, which is not something you usually do in Dominion.
Yeah.
Okay, cashes in that pixie for some coin. A lot of buys now.
Silver.
Silver.
I don't particularly like that. Why do you need silvers?
Pixie or Black Cat
If you
both
really
seem
wanted
better.
silvers, note that Trusty Steve could put 4 silvers into your deck.
Yep.
Uh, and honestly, with Aqueduct, I could totally see that coming up at some point. Like you
Yeah,
just throw 4 silvers in your deck and then buy like an estate or something, and that ends up being like a province worth of points.
totally. Oh,
Um,
that's another reason Followers is good here because it cleans up Aqueduct points.
yeah. That being said, I feel like it's definitely too early for that. Neither of them really has deck control. I wouldn't be looking to add more treasures, either golds or silvers. I'd like to have some more draw cards and some more action.
Yeah, I mean, draw is fairly limited on this board, but only one black cat has been taken, so there's certainly a lot more potential for draw than we see right now. Oh, and we're going to see a cat
You
activate.
know what else is draw? Followers is draw.
Yep.
They're not touching that one.
Nope. Okay, so this
I
could
don't
be a
have a
pretty...
great sense of who's in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, the positions look like relatively equal. Roeroe's going to be able to get a pretty nice piece of green here. Takes the last Basilica points.
Having this province in hand is real significant when your opponent's deck is full of tournaments.
Yep.
Got him.
So for Roeroe, I think this has to be followers here. You just don't play the Marauder.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
It's actually not even going to matter because that card is going to get top decked instead of
Yep. So you get to play
yeah,
the
go to your
Marauder.
hand. Yeah.
Okay,
Now, of
now...
course, roeroe wouldn't have known that in advance. They don't know that your opponent is going to block it, I don't think, until after they make their choice. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, I'm pretty sure you get to see if they revealed.
The order of tournament is kind of wonky and always makes me second guess myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Um,
At least from the log, it looks like they reveal before you do the game.
I think you might be right.
So yeah, I think Roeroe's
Smash
up.
copper and buy 2 black cats. That's the first thing that comes to my mind here.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, they did that.
Okay. Take bag of gold. Not loving that, but I suppose there's not much better.
Yeah, I think it's all right at this stage in the game. Derpeon's deck does kind of feel swamped with bad cards. Maybe gold's not the worst. Um, Village Green.
Sure.
I mean, your opponent's got followers, so Village Green does potentially do a lot for you.
You also have a couple terminals now, so...
Yeah, even with Trusty Steed, it's often nice to have villages, because you'd like to be able to play that steed for 2 cards and 2 coins if you could, instead of 2 cards, 2 actions.
Yep. Roeroe just pushing their lead a little bit more. Wow, this is very sad. That is what happens when you overinvest in tournament.
Yep.
And they even trash something for Goatherd to activate. So here, I think this is coin action.
Yeah.
No, you want to play Princess. There's no reason to draw another card you're not going to be able to play.
Yeah, it's true. They don't really have villages to be drawn to.
Yeah.
If their deck had a higher chance of kicking off, I kind of... Ooh, Marauder. I don't think that hurts nearly enough to be better than Princess.
Agreed.
Guys, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but are you playing Dominion right now?
We're commentating finals of a tournament.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, need to get out of here. Sorry.
Yeah, you can listen in if you want, but do mute yourself. Thank you.
Looks like they did.
Yeah, this is the small games tournament. So this was a tournament with a maximum rating cap. So everyone in this tournament is below a certain level. And so these are the best of the small games players playing it out for the championship match.
Yep.
This is the first game.
Ooh, we're gonna see some serious cat action right now.
Oh yeah. All right, here it comes.
Wow. What a card.
I think Black Cat's definitely, it's not the strongest card or anything, but I think it's a much stronger card than I gave it credit for when it was first released.
Oh, I thought it was garbage when I first saw the set, but it is a surprisingly strong card. So if you had a village there, you can play followers first to get them to maybe toss a province. Although with a tournament in hand, I don't think they would have. So, sort of for naught. But yeah, this is
All right.
roeroe's
Looks
game.
like roeroe's got this one on lock.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing derpeon coming back here. So what sealed the deal? Derpeon did get the earlier province. I feel like maybe followers would have been a good idea, because one thing that does well is shut down your opponent from hitting 8. Kind of hard to do that when you're drawn with a 3-card hand. Um, I like Derpeon's opening better. They went for tournament goat herd instead of marauder. Goat herd. And they got the early lead out of it. They got their first province. I feel like they didn't really capitalize on that effectively from that point onwards, though. Like they didn't start adding draw and actions to play those cards reliably.
Yeah, I think they just, once they started greening, they just sort of pushed to green more. Whereas you do need to do some more building once you have that province to trigger tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Alright, so first game goes to roeroe. Yep, that is correct. Alright, so we have a no landscape board. What my friend used to refer to as a naked board.
Tons of draw and action.
Bridge troll.
A nice payload. That being said, there's no trashing except for maybe Flame's Gift could show up once.
I still think you build the engine here.
Oh, 100%. In fact, like Hunting Party, I think is particularly good at dealing with these contexts for those minimal trashing.
Yeah.
Because it'll just skip over a lot of those coppers and estates for you. Sheepdog Bandit Camp is also kind of nice. Because the Bandit Camp guarantees that the Sheepdog activates. So that's a nice potential synergy to look out for. So, that being said, Bandit Camp in a kingdom with no trashing limited draw is often kind of annoying. Because like I don't really want the spoils. Like I want to gain the spoils to activate Sheepdog, but I don't actually want to have the spoils.
Okay, so Derpeon opens with silver into Nomad Camp. roeroe grabs Blessed Village. Neither of those are particularly inspiring to me. I think I want to open Silver Sheepdog.
Yeah, I like Silver Sheepdog the best. There's no opening that like screams out to me as like all that amazing here, except for like I don't know, getting 5-2.
5-2 looks pretty solid.
Like I don't hate theirs. Occasionally, Blessed Village gives you like a really nice boon early on, and then sometimes it doesn't, like this time, and then you're often a little bit sad. Actually, maybe is turns 2 Sun's Gift good? It might be. Let me look at this turn. Yeah, I think actually roeroe might have misplayed this. So if you get Sun's Gift on turn 2, your discard pile has 6 stop cards and a Blessed Village. You've got 3 coppers, a silver, 2 estates, Blessed Village. What you would want to do there is you treat it like Night Watchman, which is discard exactly 1 estate, and then once you played your Blessed Village, you've got a hand of silver, 3 coppers, estate, and you're guaranteed to hit 5. But significantly, you didn't trigger a shuffle yet, and so whatever 5-cost card you buy is going to go right back into your shuffle for turn 4. Whereas they discarded 2 estates, which means they shuffled their deck early, and then
that new card they
whatever you
bought
buy.
misses.
Yeah, like this bandit can't miss the shuffle now.
I'm not convinced Bandicamp is better than Blessed Village here. I don't really want the
I mean,
spoils.
bandit camp could be good if you have a bunch of sheepdogs.
Yeah.
But JCK, are you discussing the turn 2, turn 3 thing I was talking about with Yeah, so they could have also done it that way. I mean, like theoretically, it's equally fine to if you wanted to like discard 2 estates and then not play the best Blessed Village. That'd be equivalent to discarding 1 estate and playing the Blessed Village. The point just being is you want to hit 5 and not trigger a shuffle, so that the 5 cost card you buy goes back into the shuffle, and that would also be an acceptable way to do the thing.
So hunting party's still at 10, when there are 5 bandit camps gone. That seems pretty strange to me.
Yeah. I think that they're really overdoing it on bandit camps. The only
They bought
reason
an
I want bandit camp here
RBS.
Okay, that's weird. You have no way to get rid of your coppers. Don't
Yeah.
buy Royal Blacksmith.
And you have hunting party, which is just such phenomenal draw. Like arguably, well, I don't know, it and Spool are probably the best non-terminal draw.
Yeah. What's the first 5? I guess it depends on what you've opened. With the Blessed Village Silver open, I would think first 5 might just be Bridge Troll. And then you could pick up a lot of sheepdogs with that, and then add maybe Bandit Camp or something like that. I'm not totally sure what the best form of draw is. Like I love hunting parties. I wouldn't mind having a storyteller or 2 because you've got surplus treasures that you don't really need.
Yep.
And it can convert them into draw. Bandit Camp is kind of good just because it can activate sheepdogs, which is a card you might be buying on turns where you didn't hit 5. So some combination of those. I'm not exactly sure.
So there's the bandit camp sheepdog interaction.
I think if I'm not choosing Bridge Troll, e.g., maybe if I had the Nomad Camp Silver opening, Bridge Troll looks less desirable because it's more likely to collide. I would think Hunting Party is probably a better first 5 than Storyteller because, Storyteller is converting your coins into action, and you don't really, at this point in the game, really have surplus money yet. Like, once you've got Bridge Trolls in play, you don't need the money anymore.
Yep.
But at this stage in the game, you kind of do. And so if your Storyteller, plays 3 coppers, what you basically got there is, like, a Silos. That's just sifting through your coppers. And Silos isn't actually all the way to getting you to 5. Whereas Hunting Party is just drawing you additional cards.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the problem with opening Hunting Party is that you don't have enough uniques for it to really work. But if you're opening with like Sheepdog and Bless, then you certainly have enough for the Hunting Party to pay off.
Yeah. So where do we stand now? I haven't kept up with the last few turns well enough.
This could be something like Bridge Troll Hunting Party. Hunting Party
So
Storyteller.
Derpeon is up 3-1 on Bridge Trolls.
I really like these bandit camps.
Yeah, this seems really excessive to me. In terms of the number of bandit camps you want.
Yeah. I mean, the sheepdog interaction is nice, but I think in general I probably want Blessed Villages, both for the boon and for the fact that they're not junking my deck when I play them.
I mean, the best argument for Blessed Village is it costs 4, and so it's not competing with Bridge Troll and Hunting Party and Storyteller the same way that Bandit Camp is. Like, you can buy Blessed Village when you couldn't have afforded those other ones.
So yeah, we can get a blast
here. A bunch of sheepdogs.
Yep.
I think I would probably. I don't know exactly what the contents of the deck are, but my assumption would be that I should react with the sheepdog to draw first, in case I get Earth's Gift. because I'd like to have a treasure in hand to discard.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They got Wind's Gift, which is pretty mediocre. Um, but there's definitely worse boons. I would really start being.
Why are we buying RBSs?
I was literally just about to say, I'm definitely at the point in the game where I don't want to touch Royal Blacksmith anymore, even if I wanted that as my source of draw, because debt and cost reduction do not pair well together.
Yep.
Like if you're in debt, you can't make use of the fact that every card costs 0 for Bridge Troll now, because you have to first pay off the debt before you can buy any of them.
Yeah, DZ. I
That's
think
a
they
good
set up a
question.
pretty bad shuffle by tossing over and over. I guess that's another problem with Royal Blacksmith.
Yeah, I think we're seeing both of them in this game sort of not pay enough attention to good shuffle management and making sure that you are causing shuffles you want to cause and not causing ones you don't. So many bandit camps.
So many Royal Blacksmiths.
I would expect bridge trolls and sheepdogs to pile for sure, and then maybe a hunting party or blessed village to be the third pile.
Yep. Oh, they picked up a distant lands. That's interesting. I think you don't really want distant lands. You want to just keep building until you can have one big mega turn where you empty piles and take some green.
Yeah, like I feel like with bridge troll, what usually happens is the duchies run, and duchies a lot better than distant lands because you don't have to play it. At least in this context, where you're taking them like the turn before the game is over.
Hmm. Free gold. Forget the fact that we already have way too much treasure in our deck to begin with. Who doesn't want free gold?
I don't want free gold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. You know, that hunting party looks pretty sweet right now. No.
The fact that hunting parties and storytellers are both on 10
Baffling.
is a little saddening.
The fact that Royal Blacksmith is on 4 is also pretty confusing. Like, in a million years, I don't think I'd pick up a Royal Blacksmith on this kingdom. Like, maybe if hunting parties and storytellers are... Well, like, if those are all gone, the game's over. Yeah, I don't think I ever touch Royal Blacksmith. Yeah, Storyteller would be cool. You can play the coppers, get them out of hand, and then RBS, I guess.
Storyteller would also be nice without all the royal blacksmiths.
Yeah.
You could play all these surplus spoils that you don't need.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's probably a okay reason to go for Bandit Camp. Is it works nicely with Storyteller.
Yeah, like some combination of hunting party, storyteller, bandit camp, plus village sheepdog is all good, and then play a bunch of bridge trolls. I don't think royal blacksmith has a good place in that.
Likewise, I don't think Distant Lands is something you want to be buying.
I also agree with that. I don't think distant land should be at 4 here.
Like, Distant Lands is very good in games where you're going to green for a while, and so the ability to get some points while not mucking up your deck is really important. But this is a mega turn type board where you probably only buy green on the turn you win the game. So it really doesn't matter whether you have 1 distant lands or 5. You know, if you can just take a bunch of provinces and finish the pile, then that's all that ends up mattering.
That's true. They're not getting Explorer, which does seem like a good decision here.
I really like these distant lands.
Are we gonna pile up distant lands?
I might pile on distant lands and sheepdog, yeah.
Can I stress again that Hunting Party and Storyteller are both very good draw cards?
Yeah.
Look how much treasure you have. Think about how many cards one Storyteller would draw you.
Yeah, between spoils and silver, I mean, you can just draw away. You know, in general,
It's
Storyteller.
non-terminal and draws more than Will Blacksmith, and doesn't discard your coppers.
Yep. In general, Storyteller shines when there's non-money generating payload. So something like cost reduction or horn, where you can pretty freely just play a ton of money, and you don't really care about reaching a big money point at the end of your turn, just rather getting down a bunch of cards. That's where Storyteller really shines. So this is a great board for Storyteller.
So it looks like Derpeon could pile out for a loss here if they wanted.
Yep.
Can they win? I don't think so.
I don't believe they can win right now, but they can certainly take a bunch of points.
Yeah, I think they're either they could have played the Nomad Camp and then they would have less points but one more buy, or they play the distant lands. Either way, they're like one buy short of. I think taking 3 provinces there is pretty justified.
Yeah, I mean, the game's
Piles are
almost
super
over.
low.
I don't want to get piled out on.
Here, just like a blessed village and a Storyteller. Could even be Dutchy, maybe. I think I'd take blessed village Storyteller though. All right, we got a Hunting Party bot.
Hell yeah. Only 16 turns in. 17 turns in.
Yeah, like at this point in the game, with 0 Storytellers in your deck and tons of Bandit Camps, I think Storyteller is now the better draw card than Hunting Party.
Agreed.
Whereas Hunting Party was better. But Hunting Party is still a pretty darn good card. Oh, Derpeon still manages to be a little bit shy of the victory. But I think you could just take some more provinces here and then probably lock it up.
Yep.
This is really not a game that should end on provinces, but I think it might.
I mean, I think it's common at lower levels to see much more of their games end on provinces than 3 piles, whereas when you get to the higher level, I believe 3 piling is more common than province endings.
Yeah, I think it like in the stats that Marcus's sheet, 3 piling and province are very close to one another in stats. I don't remember which one's higher.
I think 3 piling's a little higher, but they're both around a third.
Yeah, with the last third being resignations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they didn't really sufficiently emphasize playing lots of bridge trolls here. Like that's a pile that should run pretty fast, I would think. And then I think they sort of misallocated draw towards things that are giving them lots of treasures, and that pushed them towards buying provinces. That would have been a great boon to get earlier. Actually,
Yep.
it might still be a good boon if you get another turn for piling out purposes. But
Let's see how
I
many.
feel like Earth Gift is almost always the best one to get from Blessed Village.
Well, unfortunately, they don't have any bridge trolls in play, so they're not going to be able to use the boon to get something expensive, but they might not need to. Again, if the goal is just a pile.
Yeah, they could just take a sheepdog off of it. Also, unfortunately, they don't have a sheepdog in hand because Earth Gift could also activate that.
Yep. This is what, Province Sheepdog? I don't actually know if you want to lower. Yeah, I don't think you want to lower. I guess Province. Do you grab some estates? Oh yeah, I don't like that sheepdog in.
Sure. I think maybe just province. Taking an estate might be justified as well. I'd have to think about like the point scenario and whether like to trigger a shuffle. But I think just province is fine. Taking the extra sheepdog, I feel like is more likely to hurt than help.
Yeah, I think you discard a copper to gain a sheepdog here.
I would agree with that. I feel like hitting 2 distant lands on a sheepdog is not particularly difficult.
So they go
I
for
think
blessed.
the best order here might have been to. Yeah, I don't like that play. I would have played Blessed Village first. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say play the bridge troll before the hunting party, so
So it can
that
find another one.
actually they actually did just make exactly the mistake I was discussing. It looks like even after they play the royal blacksmith, they have the same sort of hand composition, and like you've got more bridge trolls in your deck, and that's like the singular card I would most be wanting to find here is derpeon. And if you have a bridge troll in hand, your hunting party is going to skip over any other bridge trolls in your deck. And so you'd want to use your extra villages, play those first, play the bridge troll, and then play your hunting party.
Alright, so this is a win. Let's see if they see it. Oh, provinces are also at 1. Okay, that works too.
Yeah, either way does win. All right, so that looks like 2 games for player 1 so far. I think I'm actually not. Who won game 1? I forgot already.
Roeroe
Yeah,
won
that's
game
right.
1.
Yeah. I
It's
was
1
correct.
apiece.
Going into game 3.
Bit of a sad procession. Looks okay here, but nothing amazing. Remake's a little awkward with shelters, but still probably worth going for. Let's see. Hag looks pretty bad. Populate looks good if you can get to it.
This is an interesting board. It's like you've got all the components of an engine in a bit of an awkward way. Horde being activated by nobles is kind of cute. I'm not sure how important that is.
On 5-2 here, do you just open remake nothing?
I would think Vagrant has to be better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true. For some reason, my eyes skipped over the 2s. But yeah, I don't think you want.
With nobles as your draw, Vagrant can pick up nobles as well.
Very true. Are we trying to populate this game?
That's a good question. I would think probably so. I mean, I don't particularly think Swamp Hag's an amazing card, but you could just like remake it into another nobles. And most of the other stuff would be pretty fine having in my deck, I think. And especially with proc, you can like proc your in or your other stuff into cards you actually want.
Yeah, as H-Roll points out, you can go straight from 2 to 6 here, which is cool. So roeroe opened Swamp Hag. Which I do
I don't
not
like the
agree
Swamp
with.
Hag opening at all.
Yeah.
Real slow, really slow. Trashing is important here because draw is not phenomenal. You got nobles, which is like a smithy, but both of your faction sources in and festival are draw negative. So like you need to have $11 worth of cards just to draw 1 card. Festival and nobles together, in and nobles together, only increases your hand size by 1, which is not a lot. And so you want to be really thin because draw is at a premium, and every additional jump card is really hurting that.
Yep.
And that you might think, oh, with draws that are premium, maybe curses will be really good, but like remakes are really good trasher that'll make short work of those curses. So I don't think the junking effect is actually going to be very significant here.
Agreed. Without remake, it'd be a very different board, but it seems pretty easy to get rid of curses here.
Yeah. I think this might be one of those cases of like I've got 5, I need to spend 5, and so they just their eyes just glaze over the 4 cost cards. When in reality, oftentimes the best thing to buy on a 5 is just the remake anyway.
So interesting. So they go for Horde. Like you pointed out earlier, it does have a nice synergy with nobles.
It does feel a bit early for Horde, I would think. Like I don't want the golds that badly.
Agreed. Alright, so we can kill off some shelters here. Pearl Diver over Vagrant? Really?
What is the Pearl Diver doing for you? I could see it like one Pearl Diver in your deck. I feel like might be fine because you can at least like check the bottom card, make sure you didn't bottom deck something super important.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I think Vagrant's the stronger card, but I think you could justify like having a single Pearl Diver for that purpose.
Okay, so it's
Like
pretty
here,
good.
like this is a good example of that Pearl Diver actually doing good work. Like you get the top deck a remake would have been in the bottom.
Yep. So Derpeon is decently behind in trashing, I think.
I wonder why that could be.
Yeah, H-roll, I want proc, but I'm not sure when to integrate it in. It's a little tricky.
I mean, you will naturally get a procession when you hit populate, which
Yep.
is like about the time you'd want it anyway. Um, it's unfortunate though that procession no longer works on duration cards
Yeah.
because the card I would most love to use procession on would be Swamp Hag.
Hey, there's a proc. Really, I don't think you want to top deck a silver there. I want to find some other exciting cards, not just money.
All right, maybe roeroe hits 10 here. They've got 8 already, so maybe with a good draw of this vagrant, they can get there.
So here I think you process the Necro.
I wouldn't. I would be thinking about processing the remake because that kills the necro and turns it into a 1 higher cost card anyway.
Oh yeah, that is better.
And you actually can gain a remake off of the silver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could contemplate not trashing the Necropolis. I mean, I don't think they have enough nobles yet, but like theoretically, Necropolis could be a good card for your deck given the limited villages.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did that, you could just like play Necropolis and then proc remake. I think I would kill it here. Um, but like keeping Necropolis would not be ridiculous. Thinking about it. They also have what do you call it? I don't even know what you call the like the state of being attacked by Swamp Hag. Like they're currently under a Swamp Hag attack, which is an additional reason to just want to like clean out this whole hand and not buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because like let's say you just played remake once and trashed Copper and Curse, it's not like you're even going to be able to buy a 2-cost card with a silver.
Mm-hmm.
Because taking a Vagrant is not worth taking a Curse for, I don't think.
Yeah, agreed. I think the proper term is that they're getting shreked, since they are stuck in the swamp.
I'll take it. They're getting Shrek'd. And I guess while we're on the topic of using proper terminology, we describe the use of procession as like processing something. But like the term procession in this context, right? It's like a royal procession, like from proceeding. And so realistically, like if you're using process on a remake, are you not proceeding the remake?
I'm not sure. It sounds reasonable. Are you processioning? Because it's effectively acting like a verb there.
Is that a verb? Let's see. Procession.
So I think it's a made up one.
The freedictionary.com believes processioning is a real word.
All right,
That
let's
means
go.
to form or go in a procession. Yeah, that works.
Wow. Roeroe almost draws enough for populate. Lucky
So
number
close.
9.
Yeah, so far. Do you take a free gold here? I'm not even sure it's good for your deck, but maybe it is.
I think you probably do. You really want to hit populate, so those golds aren't hurting.
Like I think I'm buying nobles as roto either way, and the thing I'm thinking about is whether I put the horde into play, and I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
That being said, it's still Derpeon's turn. This is a weird play order. I didn't
Trashing a
expect them to.
festival.
Why didn't they at least play the Vagrant?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Why would you not draw there? I don't really get that. Like I
Okay.
would have thought we were playing the Vagrant, playing the festivals, and like proceeding or processioning the copper and silver or something to that effect. I think I would have used procession on that guide.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
it
that
doesn't trash the guide.
processing
You get a
Vagrant
free
is
4.
bad.
You can do it now if you want. Get another proc or something.
Okay, let's see. Can they hit 10 here? I think the answer is no, but I've been thinking about whether there is a possibility of doing like gain and play things with remake that could get me to 10 this turn.
So Derpeon is very clean. I think with some better ordering, you probably could have made it happen there. Why would you top deck the copper?
That's a good question.
I guess you want it so that you can remake it, but it just seems very strange.
All right, Roeroe's starting to get clean.
I think a proc here looks pretty good for them. Not sure I really get why they need more vagrants. It does draw nobles, but yeah. So you could proc
Bottom card.
vagrant.
Do we know the bottom card in their deck? Just trying to figure this out.
Is it another procession?
I think it's a silver, in which case they do have 10
no,
here.
the other one's in the trash. Yeah, that looks right. So they had 2 silvers.
Proc Festival and play Vagrant. And not that it matters, but your Vagrant will actually draw that nobles. So you could use its effect. They still got it. Yeah. Proc the Festival here for sure. Populate also conveniently avoids the Swamp Hag attack entirely. So you get to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 action cards to your deck with 0 curses.
It's a sweet deal.
Yeah, I don't see anything that is remotely as nice as that. Like, even if the nobles weren't there, I would be proccing that procession. Like, you're going to get it back anyway off of Populate.
Yep.
But the fact that you get a nobles off of it as well is just icing. Yeah, looks like they're doing that properly.
Please don't like buy province estate. Hit that populate button.
Populate.
No.
What? 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 So you could get a nobles and 8 action cards, or you could get
And no
nobles
curse.
gold curse. I don't. Why did you do that? I don't understand.
It's confusing. And why did
It
they
took.
buy a vagrant? You don't need just for like it's doing
If you
almost
wanted,
nothing.
if you wanted a nobles and a vagrant, those both come with populate. So they've made the judgment essentially that a gold and 2 curses is better than 7 action cards, and that seems very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting into the territory where Swamp Hag could be very helpful to the opponent in piling out. Like with Swamp Hag and play, you don't need a huge number of buys to empty curses.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't understand Derpeon's question.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
What are
They
they saying?
disconnected momentarily and were confused that roeroe had in fact played a whole turn.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, when your deck's not thin, your turns don't take long because you draw a bunch of treasures. I would have strongly considered proccing that remake. Like, it's outliving its utility here. In fact, I think you might have 2 of them in the deck. You could kill 2 silvers into more processions.
Mm-hmm.
Having a bunch of processions in deck is also a huge pile out threat because those can become festivals while also getting you tons of plus buy on short notice.
Yeah, proc is a very explosive card.
Indeed. Big fan.
Oh, it's so much fun. Especially with Menagerie.
I just played a game the other day that had priest, procession, and way of the pig. So you could just buy the extra priests and processions, and if you didn't need them, just like keep pigging them to leave them in your deck until the turn where you wanted the deck to go off,
Mm-hmm.
and then in like one turn, just like 8 provinces all at once because you get like literally like 200 money.
Priest Megaturns are
Between priest
really
and
fun.
procession.
They're very rare, I feel like.
I feel like priest megaturn is something that you should definitely look out for because it comes up in a not insubstantial number of priest kingdoms. Yeah, now we don't have enough cards in hand to be able to justify processing the remake.
Yep.
This is a really awkward position because they really would like to have plus buy here.
Yeah, but they don't have any more festivals.
I would have. I don't know if they had any more treasure coming up, but if they did, I would have played that nobles for draw, hoping to hit 10.
Is Populate as good anymore with nobles gone?
You get festival. Seems like a
Yeah.
significant card,
Okay, that's a good
and
point.
procession and so forth. Not to mention, you get in, which, I mean, not the best card in the abstract, but lets you seed a bunch of those cards towards the top of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you gain, I don't know, like procession and then guide or something first, and then in, you can top deck those cards to set up the chain.
Yep.
I just feel like both of these decks have just not quite stayed together well enough to be threatening to pile out effectively.
Agreed.
Just like a little bit more deck control here would go a long way. But now we're in full-on greening mode, which means we're not going to get any more deck control from here on out.
Mm-hmm. I think you proc this Vagrant here.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you need the plus action.
Well,
Or
could
guide
also
and
do
duel this
that.
hand. Like, you had a village and a draw card in hand. What more did you need?
To call another guide, apparently.
There goes all the guides.
Okay, so don't trigger the shuffle. Why?
Yep. Now,
Unless you're going for populate.
you could remake, I think remake Procession into Festival and Silver into Procession
Mm-hmm.
is better than not doing that.
Yeah, that's the line I was looking at.
Don't undo that. That was a good play.
We like this line.
Like, Festival is just Silver, but better.
Yep.
Actually, maybe you should be thinking about getting an in here. I mean, like, in is obviously a way worse card than Festival, but I mean, you got a bunch of cards you didn't want coming up. I'm not even sure that the stuff coming up is objectively bad, because the stuff, like, the hand they guided was actually a fine hand. So maybe the shuffle will be okay.
Well, they don't have any more guides to save them. This, you would really love to have some plus buy right now.
Yeah, you would think so.
Okay, so I asked on Discord, and Truffle said the format is this is first to 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, we're not threatening pilots here at all, are we? I think as derpeon, you just province here and hope your opponent can't do province duchy or province double estate. It's not guaranteed, but I think it's your best bet.
Well, if derpeon provinces, the roeroe just needs one province to win, right?
Oh, never mind. I got the scores backwards. Ignore me. That was a really dumb thing I was suggesting. Never mind. I was thinking derpeon was up 1 point. Yeah, in that case, just ritual of gold.
Yep.
Seems like next best option. You could draw and maybe hope to find a better ritual target, but I'm not sure a better one exists.
So they opt to duchy instead of ritual.
Yeah, ritual gold is 5 points instead of 3.
Yep, and you could potentially trash the curse, making it a full 6 points. Okay, so we can grab 2 duchies here.
Yeah.
Which come with 2 gold. Could also ritual away 2 gold.
Let's see. So you could do duchy and ritual remake. You could do...
So ritualing a province isn't really great, because it's only worth an extra point unless you trash the curse, in which case it's only worth 2, which isn't a big gain. compared with something like
Yeah.
Gold or even Remake.
Yeah, I agree. I think they had enough to do Duchy and Ritual Gold, which is probably the most points you could eke out of that hand.
Mm-hmm.
So now I would expect derpeon to just win here, although I guess that's not guaranteed. Surely you're drawing on with this nobles.
Nothing else to do.
You're so close. If you find a treasure card, you win. Yep, there it is.
Right, so that is 2-1 Derpeon now?
Indeed. We've had a player 2 victory.
It's always nice to see.
So we got a spectator named either Mole Fan 2 or Mole Fan 2. I'm kind of curious as to whether they like the animal or the dish.
Or perhaps the unit.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe this is you really like really big numbers and
Mm-hmm.
things. So Derpeon is confused by the player order. An easy way to tell this is just to look at the chat. Player 1 is in red, player 2 is in blue. So if you look at any chat that happened during the game, you could tell what player you were
Yep.
based on whether you were red or blue.
You can also always use the match command of Dombot to see the games you've played so far, get the record right, and make sure you have the right turn orders. Nice
This is
little.
an interesting kingdom.
So Academy looks great here.
Oh, goodness me. Um, I feel like the optimal thing here is to build an engine. That being said, there's some really strong money stuff, and the engine feels kind of tricky. And so I definitely see a reasonable argument for just like playing very moneyish.
Yeah, there's no plus buy, and no useful gains. I mean, improve is probably your best gains. Other than that, you're just gaining money cards. Um,
Yeah,
I
like
I
the
think
engine can
something.
get in werewolf attacks. It can get 2 cards per turn with ball, and then theoretically you can green twice with like zombie mason.
Mhm.
But oh, it's a bit awkward.
I think something moneyish
You
with
can definitely get very
Academy is
confusing
is
stuff.
probably pretty strong. Wayfarer is great at adding silver and another Wayfarer to your deck, which with Academy is something you'd like to do.
Yeah,
What?
I was thinking something like on the 4-3, maybe even on the 5-2, you could do like improve raise, and then when presumably you hit at least 4 and the hand with improve in it, and then you buy like necromancer or trader or something, and then you can improve your improve straight into wayfarer.
Yeah. So on the 5-2, Derpion open vault, but I really want to ball for something in a Wayfarer. It could be like Ray's Wayfarer, for instance.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Given the opportunity to open wayfarer, that seems pretty good. So now they get academy.
Quarry interesting here. Will make ball a little bit more powerful. Academy,
I
like I
do like
was,
him. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, Academy looks great here. Not sure you ever need to actually buy a village.
Yeah. I also like the idea of improve a lot. Um, so like not only would the improve to get Wayfarer, but like supposing you've got a Wayfarer, for example, you gain a silver off of Wayfarer. You can improve your raises into Wayfarers,
Hmm.
uh, or you could all for improve and then improve raises into Wayfarers. I just feel like it's the best way to get the card you really want very easily.
Yeah, so you can do what Ja was suggesting now, which is get Academy and then start balling for Wayfarers and kind of flood your deck with Silver and Wayfarers, which is pretty good in a money-ish game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Wayfarer is a pretty darn strong money card.
Agreed. Which is interesting because most of Menagerie is not particularly money-ish.
Yeah. I
Okay,
don't like the silver buy from roeroe. I feel like Improve just seems a lot better to me.
agreed.
Roeroe is also not yet hit Academy.
So interestingly,
They bought a lot of silver last
Derpeon
year.
balled for Wayfarer Village. I would have preferred balling for 2 Wayfarers. You have Academy, so I'm not particularly worried about colliding, and I just want to shove Wayfarers and Silvers into my deck.
Wait, could they have acquired two Wayfarers there?
You didn't? Yeah, they had Quarry in
Oh
play.
yeah, they had a quarry in play. You're right. You're right. Yeah, then I agree. Just two Wayfarers seems ideal. Um, we haven't talked about this yet, but I feel like the reason roeroe has been slow to hit 5 is their opening. Necromancer Village is not an opening that makes you particularly likely to hit 5.
Yeah.
In general, opening with Village, bad idea. It's not doing anything for you in the short term. You can't possibly have multiple terminal election cards yet that you want to play, given that you have only bought 2 cards, one of which is a Village. And so having plus action in your deck is not helpful. Even in kingdoms where you really want Village, which I don't think this is necessarily one, that doesn't mean it's a card to buy early on. Buy the card that helps your deck immediately, and then once you need the plus action, add in the Village.
Yep.
As it stands, they've opened the card that's doing nothing in the short term, and I think it's showing up in their inability to hit 5 and then get the stuff they really want, like Academy and Ball and whatnot.
Yeah.
And now they're having to go back and buy silvers to fix that problem.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this last time we commentated, but early turns matter so much because they have this exponential ripple effect where, all your later turns are based on your early turns. So we were using the example of if someone said like turn 1 you could buy a province, you wouldn't do it because just the loss of whatever card you were going to get turn 1 instead totally obliterates whatever, the 6 points you get from province.
Oh yeah.
So in the same vein, opening something like Village, you might be like, well, I'm gonna want a Village eventually, but if it slows you down towards getting to the important price points here, like hitting Academy, and you want to also be hitting Ball a lot, that's really costly. Why are they getting
Yeah.
more Villages?
Yeah. Early turns matter very much. All right, they finally got Academy. Better late than never.
Yep.
This just looks like a derpeon's game, though. I would think
They do
their
appear to
deck
be
is
running away with it.
where roeroe's deck wants to be, and isn't.
Yep. You can raise a copper now. Okay, they choose not to. Oh, they had an extra action. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these necromancers are not impressing me this game. I know it's one of your favorite cards, but I don't think this is
I
the
do
board
love
for it.
Necromancer. I think I would try to build the engine. Like I'm not sold that it's better, but I think it's potentially viable here. Like all the stuff here that's good for money is also pretty good for the engine. Like Academy gives you tons of plus action, draw is very easy to come by. You could just get tons of Wayfarers and not add silvers to your deck. And then you could set up additional gains per turn here with Vault. For example, you can discard 1 card with Vault to guarantee that your zombie mason hits it with Necromancer.
Yep. Be great if
And
there
then
was
your
a
improves
7
go to the
cost.
trash. So you could like play Necromancer's improve and then like there's gains to be had here. They're just tricky to come by,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I would try to make that deck work. The advantage to it is, for example, if you have surplus draw, then you can be getting in like werewolf attacks, which can potentially hurt the money deck. Like Envious just like costs the money deck a whole turn,
Yep.
miserable amount of points. But I'm not gonna say it's obvious that that deck beats money, because money is really good here and the engine is rickety.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly at the level we're watching, like in a small games tournament, I would think playing Wayfarer Money with Academy is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
That deck is quite competitive in this kingdom, and it's like a whole lot simpler to execute.
He's a derpeon starting to run a little low on villagers. Don't think they want to trigger a shuffle here.
Yeah, they could just stop here and buy profits.
So they are down to one villager, but they're Roeroe's gonna resign. That was looking pretty dominant. So derpeon up 3-1
Yep.
now. They just need half a game to seal this match.
Indeed. Although it is roeroe's turn to go first, at least.
Yep.
So a win or a tie here for Derpeon will clinch it. These games are going pretty fast.
Oh, definitely. Been here for a little over an hour, hour 15 now, and we gotten 4 games in, so that's good pace for sure. Okay, this is a spicy board.
Interesting.
A lot going on.
So we've got plenty of trashing, sacrifice and hideout, and amulet. You've got Page, which can become champion. Do you even need champion all that badly here?
I would
Not
like to
totally
not be
sure.
getting hammered by followers.
That's a good point. You've also got tournament around, so champion can help block the follower's attack. And I don't know, maybe the warrior attack matters too. Not totally sure about that.
If the other player skips Page completely, it could definitely start to matter.
The card from the champion line I really want, I would think, is Hero. Plays very well with Storyteller. Maybe take 2 pages and send them up the line. I don't know. How are we opening?
Some combination of tournament Page and amulet sounds good for an opening, but I'm not sure which.
So they both have the 3/4. I think on 3/4, I'm pretty tempted by Amulet Overlord.
Yeah.
Like the ideal thing I would love to do here is play 1 amulet turn 3 and 1 amulet turn 4. You're getting a ton of trashing in that way, and so you could open double amulet, but that does come with the downside of if they collide, which is what, like 4/11ths likely.
Yeah, it's a
Then
30%
you're really
chance.
sad. And so the Overlord is more flexible in that if they collide, you can play the Overlord as a storyteller or a tournament instead, and then still play your amulet, and you're happier. But yeah, like any combination of tournament Page and amulet would also, I think, be a totally fine opening here.
So they both do elect to go for an Overlord in their second shuffle.
And the other thing that makes, I think, Amulet Overlord fine, that I guess I was assuming but not saying out loud, is like there's some kingdoms with Page where it's like super crucial to get to champion ASAP. And I think that's mostly the ones where like there's really good terminal draw, where like the moment you get champion, your deck just kicks off.
Yep.
Because you can just shove all the draw cards in it. Like imagine just like there's a stack of black cats or something, or moats that just become laboratories all of a sudden for $2. This isn't that. Like we talked about some benefits, like it can block attacks and whatnot, but it's not like it's an imminent thing that you need to get the plus action effect from champion. There's not a whole lot of amazing terminal action cards here. And so I think you could afford to delay Page by a shuffle to get better deck control. And then you might end up being pretty close to getting champion at a similar time anyway, given that you're going to get dinner.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty hesitant to delay Page, but it seems reasonable here. So I guess you play this Overlord as hideout?
That seems reasonable to me. Now, I like the overlords, but pretty soon I think you're going to want to stop taking them because being in debt is going to make it very hard to hit 8. And with tournament around, you do want to spike 8 if you can for the province.
Yep. So who is the Fool's Gold?
Good question.
And wow, they are really loading up on the overlords.
Roeroe's got the Fool's Gold. I don't think I like the Fool's Gold very much here.
With no gainers and no plus buy, it does not feel like it's going to be easy to get a bunch of Fool's Gold.
Yeah, like in the abstract, if I could have Fool's Golds in my deck in this kingdom, seems like a perfectly good time for it. You got a good engine, so the Fool's Gold will end up being worth more than gold and silver, and you got Storyteller, so it's also kind of draw. That being said, the problem is like the real limitation here is not the oh goodness me.
Oh.
The real limitation here is not the money cost; it's the buy. If you've only got one buy to work with each turn, Fool's Gold is costing as many buys as gold or silver or whatever. And by contrast, there's Amulet, which can gain you silvers, which might be weaker than the abstract than Fool's Gold, but aren't taking plus buy up. As well as also Trusty Steed and Treasure Hunter also gain silvers. And so I'd probably be looking to add treasures that way. Just to not waste buys.
Wow, more overlords. There aren't really that many great cards for overlord to even play here. It's certainly flexible, but you can buy regular cards.
Warrior, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I do like the early overlords. I think we're getting into the territory where it starts to look a lot worse.
I wonder how much of that is sort of cargo culting, that they see really good players buy Overlord very early and really like the card in general, and they're going for it now because it's like a very good card, even if it doesn't really work here.
Yeah, I did just play a game yesterday maybe, where my deck was like 80% overlords, and there was pathfinding, so you could just like play the overlord as all the different action cards you want, and then they all come with plus card because you just put the plus card token on overlord instead of putting the other action cards individually.
Yep.
And that was kind of nice. Most of the time, overlord I think is a card that's really good to get 1 or 2 of early, and then once your deck's up and running, you can afford to just buy the action cards you really want for cheaper.
A lot of these overlords are just being hideouts.
Yep. Derpeon's about to get a province here, and then the overlord can be a tournament.
Yep.
That'll be good use of it.
So yeah, Derpeon looks like they've got much better deck control here, so they should be able to get followers and start attacking before Champion comes online for roeroe.
Oh, I was actually thinking the first thing you would grab is Princess. Plus buy seems high priority to me.
That's probably true.
I wouldn't mind followers. Killing estates with sacrifice is 2 victory points, whereas Judging Curses is none. So there's that benefit to it. And in a kingdom with limited gains, the 2 victory points per estate might add up.
Well, there's Champion, so definitely not going to be getting followers now.
Yeah. I mean, you honestly could still get followers eventually. It's just become a much lower priority.
It is a lab that gains you an estate.
Once your deck is clean, gaining an estate is nice with limited gains because you can sacrifice it for points, and that's just a way to eke out a few extra points per turn. But that definitely comes, I think, well after taking Princess and Trusty Steed. Maybe still before, actually probably before, honestly, Bag of Gold and Diadem, because you don't need treasures in this kingdom all too much.
Yeah, so here they should be able to get Princess, which is huge, but might just be game winning. And that's the only plus buy.
Distant Lands is not the card I would have bought with it, though. That's a good way to sacrifice deck control. I would have taken like 2 Storytellers or something. Yeah, look at this hand. They are kind of dud here, and I think it's their fault. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so getting Princess is definitely very strong on the single buy board. But Distant Lands, they're good for adding some green without like mucking up your deck too much. But they are probably ultimately a worse card than just building a little bit more and eventually just going for provinces. So Derpeon can take another province here. Yeah, agreed willpower. Champion definitely makes them more attractive, but I want to see a little bit more draw before I start adding more stop cards. Like right here, it's not a dud because they can buy a province, but you'd love to see them really draw through with, and then use Princess to get, 2 provinces or something. Oh, wow, they really like Distant Lands. So they're just piling on Distant Lands. Let's see how roeroe responds. So what will they do with this Overlord? Hey Mac Attack, this is the Small Games Finals. Yeah, I agree, Titan Drake. I think you definitely want to be building to double here. Also, towards the end of the game, you can use Seize the Day to effectively triple. Yep, very true, Will.
Alrighty, I am back.
So we saw Derpeon take some more Distant Lands instead of building more. I think Titan Drake was saying, and I agree with it, you really want to build to 12 here since you can double province with that, with Princess.
Yeah, I agree. This is the second game in this tournament where we've seen them over-prioritize Distant Lands to the exclusion of deck quality.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about building a bit more is because there is Seize the Day, if provinces get to 3, you can conceivably triple using Seize the Day.
Yep, that is true. Yeah, like I would want to have a deck that's reliable enough to consistently do those sorts of things.
So what do we buy here? I was thinking of Seize as well, Chadia.
Yep, 2 buys. I don't have a strong opinion here on what the best buy is.
This is sort of one of the problems with Storyteller and decks where the payload's just money. It's very hard to balance drawing cards and keeping enough money for payload to actually buy stuff once you draw. And like that bridge troll game, it's very easy to handle because you just, spend all the money to drop the bridge trolls. But it's pretty different here. So he goes
You
for...
need to add a few more treasures.
So Fowler's the moat that gets you an estate. That's kind of interesting. I guess more of a lab.
Again, if they already had deck control, I think that'd be totally fine with just sacrificing the estate. It's not clear to me that they do, though.
So why do you think these players like Distant Land so much?
The card art I think is a lot better than Province. Province is a pretty bland looking mini golf course, whereas Distant Lands has some nice Arabian scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I'm not really sure.
So here I'm guessing you storytell.
You can sacrifice Distant Lands, and you'll get half the victory points from it. You'll get 2 instead of 4, and you'll also get 2 cards and 2 actions.
They like to play a Vagrant. Um, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, super agree, Willpower. I want something that can gain me money here to feed.
I think it's too late in the game to realistically be able to do that now.
Yes.
I think it could have been reasonable at some point early in the game if you had the right opportunity for it to add a second page for that purpose.
Could also add another amulet and be trying to gain a lot of silver that way.
You could also just take Bag of Gold.
Yeah. I always forget that's even a prize.
Yeah, I mean with Storyteller around, I mean not that they're buying Storytellers, but like if they had adding golds would not be so bad because the gold's more of a draw card
Mm-hmm.
than a stop card.
So I think here you just play Overlord as tournament.
And take the duchy.
Well, you have Princess, so...
How does that affect what card you take from the tournament?
Oh, I thought you meant buy a duchy. Yes, I think you do. I definitely want points at this point.
Yeah, you could add 4 silvers to your deck right now if you
Oh,
wanted.
yeah, wow, there's Diadem Champion. I totally overlooked that, but yes, that's worth potentially a lot of money.
That's true. Diadem does both Diadem and Bag of Gold are much stronger than usual here.
I was gonna say it's a little late for Distant Lands, but since your opponent doesn't have any plus buy, they can't really threaten much.
Yeah, the ability for roeroe to come back here seems kind of nil, given that they don't have any way to gain lots of points per turn.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say this looks to be derpeon's match.
Very likely, very likely. So here you can Trusty Steed, potentially pick up a duchy off Overlord as tournament.
I mean, if they get to their princess, they'll just win, right?
Yes.
Or do they need money? I would have done card coins there, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't want
Oh,
silvers.
this also I think works. They played 1 coin too few, I think
This
there,
wins though.
but it ends up working out anyway. They left themselves with some non-zero chances that their princess bottom decked.
Yep,
In any case, that's the match.
and it is. So congrats to Derpeon. I believe they just won small games.
Yeah.
All right, always fun commentating with you. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And I'm going to go upload this now.
See you around.
Happy New Year.